Welcome back to the best division in football with your boys Awthentik and The Beard, the best motherfucking television show not on TV. You know what it is, man. Not a great week for the NFC East from the perspective of the New York Giants and the Beard's Washington Commanders. Both take an L along with the Dallas Cowboys. All teams lose in the NFC East except those Philadelphia Eagles. It's very unfortunate for the Beard. I know with the Commanders sitting at the top of the division, he's probably hoping for some kind of way for a lot of these teams to lose games. So definitely not the vibes this past week. A lot of news in the NFL, though. Davante Adams traded to the New York team not known as the Football Giants. He got traded to the New York Jets. Definitely going to bolster up their offense a little bit after Aaron Rodgers called out Mike Williams for not running the right route on that last play. And another important one was Amari Cooper, who got traded to the Bills right after this loss that the Browns took to the Philadelphia Eagles. We got a lot to get into today. Should be able to keep this show nice, sweet, short, maybe about a good hour and a half. But without further ado, let me bring in the best co-host in the motherfucking country. My guy, the left side to the strong side duo. The Beard is in the building. I'm going to open the door, Beard. Here we
Welcome.
Welcome.
You, sir. Oh, man. It was a wild weekend, man. Lot to digest football-wise on the field and off the field.
Before we get off into the Amari Cooper stuff.
Okay.
Bro, so I went out there for the tailgate for the Baltimore Ravens and the Washington Commanders, the battle of the Beltway Bowl, whatever y'all want to call it. Baltimore knows how to party, man.
Oh, yeah.
That place.
Well, we know that from back in the day.
mean, you know, we knew that, but it's been some years, right? Man, it was so turned up out there. I'm talking about barbecue, drinks, outside drinking. You could hear the plays from the stadium happening while we were like at the bars next to it. Got some great interviews with some Commanders fans. Listen, I might go up there for their away game against the New York Giants and just hang out because it was that much of a good time out there. Shout out to Baltimore, man, because DMV, especially, we don't consider Baltimore part of the DMV. I don't know if y'all know that, outside of this area. But in D.C., the party scene is kind of like gone downhill. And while the Commanders have not been a really good team out here, especially on like football Sundays, there really is not much partying going on in D.C. But like Baltimore, kudos, man. Y'all know how to do it out there. It was a great time out there. And it was cheap. Listen, you go from the city where it's $11 for a shot of some brown to going out there where you could get shots for like $3 and $4, beers for $5. It was an amazing time, bro.
Yeah, I heard it's a lot cheaper for. I saw a lot of Commanders fans talking about how cheap it was in inside the stadium too. Like $7. Everything was like $7 cheaper inside the stadium than it was.
You saw them $21 tall boys that they was doing at Northwest Field. I got to get that out of my head. It's not FedEx no more, but that was ridiculous. It was preseason too, bro.
There should be a preseason and food and beer discount, right?
Give me a bargain here. Come on.
But no, it was a lot to digest on and off the field. I mean, a lot of interesting, stuff going on with a lot of the matchups across the league. And then off the field, you mentioned some of the trades. Cam Akers just got traded back to Minnesota a couple minutes ago from Houston.
Wow. Yeah,
so I guess they're out on Ty Chandler, and they need a little bit of insurance policy for Aaron Jones, who's been dealing with a little bit of an injury. And then obviously, Aiden Hutchinson injury, prayers out to him. Just hate to see that for a guy who's like really, when these top draft picks are performing the way that a lot of these guys are, it's good for the league. It's good for overall fandom of football. So it sucks to see something like that. And then the Commanders lose Jonathan Allen for the year. You guys just lose Andrew Thomas for the year. So
yeah, it's looking like that.
It's just we're at that point in the season, and then all these trades happening. It made me like freak out for a second. I was like, wait, am I tripping? Is it like the deadline this week?
Did I miss out?
Like how is this happening? So yeah, it's a lot to digest. Who do
you think's the winner in the Amari Cooper trade though? They sent. What's crazy is Dallas sent him to Cleveland for a 6th rounder. They flipped him with less production for, I believe it's a 3rd round pick that could turn into a 2nd round pick.
I think the Davante Adams is 3rd that could turn into a 2nd. I don't know if Amari Cooper was a conditional, and I think they also swapped 7th and 6th picks.
2nd,
as well.
I thought it was 2nd and 3rd. I could be wrong on that though. Somebody in the chat will let us know.
I mean, the winner is Amari Cooper.
You think Amari Cooper's the winner in this one?
Hell yeah, dude. Cleveland is just the amount of shambles that Cleveland is in Ever since they botched Baker Mayfield, it has gone downhill for that organization. And it sucks because they were so bad for so long.
Let's not forget they were a playoff team last year. Let's not forget that.
Yeah. Joe
right?
Flacco.
Joe Flacco vibes,
Joe Flacco
right?
is like, that guy is just, he's a machine, man. You put him in anywhere. I mean, he's got 2-3 wins now with the Colts. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, he's good. Yeah. He's a guy that's good for at least 3 to 5 wins any year on any team. And then you look at it like this. You go from that team, which is going nowhere but down, and you go to a championship caliber contending team in Buffalo. You get to play with one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL. Like, I mean, that's a win. And I mean, people they want to look at things in weird ways too. Like the Bills, I love Khalil Shakir. I love his versatility. But he is that guy. He's a guy that can do a lot as a number 2. He's not a number 1 receiver. Keon Coleman, who we both love, he's a rookie that's still kind of like a project. So, he's getting better. I mean, Ray Davis, shout out Ray Davis, because I've been pumping Ray Davis for
man. I feel like I'll put you on to Ray Davis.
I mean, listen, he's on my bench. Him and Bucky Irving, I've been just stashing for all this time. So shout out to Ray Davis. But I mean, it's just, I think Amari Cooper's the winner. Buffalo's the winner. Cleveland is just there's nothing they can do right now to get them out of the hole that they're in. It's going to be a long way up, unless some miracle happens and Deshaun Watson remembers how to play football again. Outside of that, they're deep. I think they're going to go on a fire sale here. They might just get rid of everybody. So it'll be interesting to see who else gets traded from there. And then last but certainly not least, what about Justin?
Wait, before you move on from Amari Cooper, I do want to get the details clear here. So he was traded for a 3rd-round pick, and they swapped a 6th and a 7th pick. So the Buffalo Bills, they absolutely win in this trade here. For me, I think that Amari Cooper is a part of the struggles, though, with the Cleveland Browns. And we'll get off into it when we get into that game. But he has been a big part of the struggles. He leads the league in drops right now by a fucking mile, like straight up. And I know that Cleveland is in turmoil and whatnot, but even still, that division is not that front running right now. The AFC North, I believe that is, right? Mm-hmm. You do got the Ravens obviously on the come up, but they started off slow. It's kind of interesting that the Ravens now are looked at as a team that is where we were at in the beginning of the year, even though they did start out 0-2. So I think that the Browns are in a tough situation here because they were number 1 in the NFL as far as salary cap spent dollars. So now if you do a fire sale, are you committing to saying that entire, can't even call it a rebuild, just that effort to try to get to a ring, are you going to just blow that up?
Yeah. It's over.
I don't think you do. And I honestly don't think that Deshaun Watson is playing poor enough football to abandon the big enough contract that they gave him with the $200+ million guaranteed. I don't think you can pull a Russell Wilson just yet. I think you need to commit to this for another year at least.
Ooh, that's tough. I mean, I believe I understand what you're saying. It's not that I disagree with it. I just feel like it's tough for me to grasp right now. And I was a Deshaun Watson football player guy. What I'm saying?
I mean, I think their problems just go way deeper than him. You're dealing with injuries up front on the offensive line. Myles Garrett hasn't been healthy this entire year. Mm-hmm. There's a lot going on there. But my whole point about it is if you commit to just blowing this up and trading everybody away, I think that you're pretty much saying that the amount of money that you have spent all the way dating back to probably when they first brought in like an Odell Beckham and a Jarvis Landry, it's for waste now.
It is.
There is no last-ditch effort like the Dallas Cowboys tried to do this year or none of that. I didn't think they were correctly equipped to come into the year and be a really, a team that would truly contend. I felt more confident about the New York Jets than I did about the Cleveland Browns this year, and that's not saying much.
I did as well. And I mean, I love their defense. I thought their receiving core wasn't bad with Cooper, Judy, and Moore, but they've all three of them have underperformed. You know what I'm saying?
Not repping for the Zoes right now, man.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy, though? Think about this. Both of those trades, Adam Peters got a 3rd-round pick from the Philadelphia Eagles for Jahan Dotson.
Yeah. The value was still there because Jahan was still on that rookie deal.
Yeah, so, I mean...
when you think about, other big trades, Devontae Adams just got traded for a 3rd, but it comes with a hefty $13 million contract.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what happens with him after this season because, I mean, is Aaron Rodgers really going to go at it for another year? I don't think so.
It's tough. You just brought your boy over there. I think it depends on how the rest of the year goes. If they can, they're only 2 games back in the division right now. I think if they can get back on track, You might be able to see them make a little bit of a push, and depending on the success from this year, I think that depends on what happens with Aaron Rodgers moving forward.
And then last but certainly not least, I know I wanted to touch on this with you really fast. Justin Fields heading to the bench for Russell Wilson this week.
Is it confirmed? I was talking to Stan about it. They said that Russell Wilson was going to get first team reps, but did they say Justin Fields to the bench?
They didn't say it blatantly, but they are hinting that as if that is the direction in which they're going to go.
I think that would be crazy because they don't have enough playmakers over there. George Pickens, when he's not running lazy routes, he can be a weapon. And Justin Fields on the year has 10 total touchdowns and 1 interception.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they would move on from him.
And you guys have disappeared from Awthentik's mentions, by the way.
Yeah, I re-sparked them to come back up in here. But let's get off into this first game, man, because I want to talk more about the Amari Cooper situation, and I want to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles a lot here, who were on their bye last week. So let's get off into the Browns traveling to Philadelphia that took on the Eagles. All right, this one was StreamYard got a little bit of lag today. I don't know. I can feel the lag right now. Okay, StreamYard, get your shit together. Now, this game, I told you that the Browns were going to cover that 9.5. You remember that? What were the scores we wrote down for this game? You got the scores here?
I looked that up while you.
Yeah, so the Browns end up losing this one. They fall to 1-5 on the season, and according to the Beard, they need to do a fire sale right now. The Eagles improve to 3-2. The last meeting between these two teams, the Browns did beat the Eagles in 2020. That was without Jalen Hurts. The Eagles were favored by 9.5 in this one. The over-under was 43. We did not get there. The Eagles end up winning this one 20-16. The Eagles have had a tough time getting off to a fast start this year. Tell me them scores and the covers on that.
You had Philadelphia 26, Cleveland 17.
Ooh, and, that's damn close.
I had Philadelphia 27, Cleveland 10.
Not too bad. You weren't too far off, even though you didn't think they would cover. But the Eagles, their slow start, they have not scored any points in the first quarter of any game this entire season. And in the second quarter in this one, A.J. Brown really got them together. He had the touchdown in the second quarter, and a field goal had the Eagles up 10-3 early in this one. Eagles were trying to push it to a 2-score lead right before the half, and Myles Garrett took a page out of the New York Giants playbook against the Seattle Seahawks, where his homie held down the center, and he leaped over the pile and blocked this field goal. And Rodney McLeod, the former Philadelphia Eagle, took the field goal all the way to the house to tie it at 10 going into the half. Browns get the ball in the second half. This is an ideal situation. Your offense has not been doing much. You get the blocked field goal return for a touchdown with basically no time left on the clock. You get the ball at the second half. You get into Eagles territory, and Kevin Stefanski and Ken Dorsey decide to run a play that I'll never forget. It reminds me of what the Tennessee Titans did one time on a 3rd and 1 in the playoffs with Ryan Tannehill at quarterback. And instead of giving the ball to Derrick Henry on 3rd and 1, they ended up giving it to that tight end who has a name that I will not try to pronounce just to spare his name here. But Kevin Stefanski and Ken Dorsey pretty much did the exact same thing with Cedric Tillman. They end up losing some yards on it, about 5 yards, and they miss a long field goal. So you were in position to try to take this lead after your offense was doing absolutely nothing in this game. I looked at the passing charts from Deshaun Watson. It's absolutely pathetic. Each team added a field goal in this one. It was 13-13 entering the fourth quarter, and then Jalen Hurts hit Devonta Smith on a little crosser route for a long touchdown to push the lead to 20-13. Browns got in the red zone one last time. Pre-snap penalties has been the theme for them. They end up settling for 3 again. Cut the score to 20-16. The Eagles got the ball back and ran the clock out with a first down from Hurts, a first down from Jahan Dotson. It was his lone catch of the game. And then a big play to A.J. Brown on another fade route to seal this one after the Eagles kneeled it out and win this one 20-16. Now, I know the Beard is saying, Deshaun Watson. I'm sticking to what I'm seeing with my eyes. Deshaun Watson is going to ultimately take all of the blame for what has been happening in Cleveland, right? He was 16 of 23 in this game for just 168 yards, and he was sacked 5 times. He was 0 for 2 on his deep shots in the game. Just 2 passes were attempted over 20 yards in this game. 8 of his 16 completions were throws behind the line of scrimmage. Okay, he was kept clean for 14 dropbacks. He was 11 of 14 for 80 yards, a 78.6 completion percentage when he was kept clean. Now, these are some of the things that we really can't put on just Deshaun Watson. He was pressured on 65.2% of his dropbacks. Okay? He was sacked 5 times. His lead running back, who is a third stringer, rushed for 43 yards. That's Pierre Strong because they had some injuries in their backfield as well. But he did average 7.8 yards per touch. They're 28th in rushing yards per game. But more importantly, the reason why they're 28th in rushing yards per game is because they're 28th in rushing play percentage. They're overcommitting to the pass. That reminds me of Eric Bieniemy. They have the 4th most penalties in the league right now per game. The Browns cannot protect the quarterback. And I said this to Giants fans on our last recap. When you look at the Giants leading the league in sacks, it's a great thing right now, right? But you can't forget some of the competition they went up against and the Browns being the number 1, where we had 8 sacks in that game. Washington, another NFC East team, had 7 sacks against them. Y'all aren't known for having a really dominant front right now after losing Montez Sweat and Chase Young, right? Philadelphia had 5 sacks in this game. They only had 6 sacks entering this game. And there's more. The Browns traded a 2nd-round pick for Elijah Moore and a 3rd. That dude had 1 reception for 3 yards, and he has been extremely lackluster. Combine Jerry Jeudy within that. Kevin Stefanski calling this jet sweep on 3rd and 1 with pretty much the game on the line with the way that your offense was moving the ball. Obviously, the offensive line and the injuries. And Deshaun Watson is just not good enough to overcome any of this. And today, they went out there and they traded their wide receiver 1. So things are probably going to get worse for them. The other thing I want to touch on here, the Browns are just one of the most undisciplined teams in the NFL right now. I talked to you about Amari Cooper leading the league in drops. He has 9 drops. The next closest guy has 5 drops. Okay, so he leads by 4 drops just 6 weeks into the season. People were telling me, Puka Nacua led the league in drops last year. Well, Puka Nacua had 160 targets and over 1,500 yards. Okay, that's not what Amari Cooper is quite doing just yet. Jerry Jeudy is 14th in the NFL with the most drops. It's just 3, but that goes to show you how many guys have 3 drops in the league. The Browns had 7 penalties in this game. None of them were on the defense. Not 1 penalty committed against that defense. The Browns have committed 50 penalties for 357 negative yards. They gave up 8 explosive plays on defense. Both of the Eagles' touchdowns came on explosive plays against the Cleveland Browns defense. And in their last 3 games, the Browns are 7 of 35 on turd down, because that is shit from the Cleveland Browns right there. I don't know how it's a miracle that this game was even as close as it was. But with the Philadelphia Eagles coming off the bye, I think they did put up a good performance. I got more to talk about with the Philadelphia Eagles offense and whatnot, but I kind of want to know your take on this game. I know you said Deshaun Watson. For me, there's a lot more going on. It's obviously, it reminds me of what's going on in New York a little bit, because their defense is pretty good, like you said. Their offense is god-awful right now.
They stink. They stink. The Eagles should be embarrassed. That's what they should be. That this game was as close as it was. I told you guys, if the Eagles lose this game, that Sirianni would get fired. And he was on the sideline chirping at the fans because they were yelling at him to run the ball. I was like, I love those type of fans. Tell them to run the damn ball. I mean, listen, the Cleveland Browns, you really opened it up, right? Because a lot of times when it comes to dysfunction and it comes to teams, like you said, it's going to end up on the quarterback, right? But you opened it up. I mean, there's disaster all over that roster right now and that team, and they're just not – they're not good. And the Philadelphia Eagles, thank God, if the Eagles did not have A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith back in this game, they would have lost.
Likely, yeah. It would have been much closer, yeah.
And, I mean, it was pretty damn close. It was only a 4-point difference, you know. But
the score, I do think, is a little misleading.
I mean, misleading, it can be misleading for sure. But I went and I was, like, trying to figure out how, like, why. Like, they couldn't get the run game going really well against Cleveland, you know. And this is what defies the Eagles for me right now. This is the type of team that the Eagles are. And they shouldn't be, because they're better than this. But when you go Saquon Barkley, who I thought got the first down, if you want me to be honest with you, he goes and he's 1 yard short, right?
Yeah.
The next play, Barkley misses the block. Hurts gets sacked. The next play, the field goal gets blocked and taken for a touchdown. Like that series of events right there, like that's three plays in a row. Like, that's kind of how this Philadelphia team has been going this year. And I mean, third downs, you talked about Cleveland on third downs. Philadelphia wasn't that much better. You're 5 of 14 on third downs. And they were only averaging 3.2 yards per an attempt on the ground in this game. But like I said, AJ Brown and I almost called him AJ Smith and Devonta Brown. They combined for 9 catches for 180 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, I mean, having those two guys back in the offense is huge for Philadelphia. There is something missing from Philadelphia. I was telling Awthentik, like, I'm not 100% sure I can even put my finger on what it is exactly. But I mean, like, is it the same thing as always? I mean, they lost Dallas Goedert in this game. Like, that was obviously, like, a huge loss for them, because they 80 yards of Hurts's passing yards went to everybody else. Everything else was Devonta Smith and AJ Brown.
And it'd be like that with them. That is how they get their bread and butter going with the offense.
And it's interesting to me because it wasn't an on game for Saquon. Saquon's still, one of the best running backs in the league so far. Like, and that's a fact statistically as well, But it's just, I don't know. There's this disconnect from coach to coordinators to players, and it's on both sides of the ball. They just can't figure out how to put everything together cohesively. They look sloppy. Like, and you were saying that you thought that Hurts was a little banged up, possibly too.
Yeah, he looks like it when he's running. He looks a little gimpy.
It just doesn't. It's not clicking for me, and they're so much better. The talent on that roster is so good. It's not like like New York or Washington, where like we have some talent, we got a lot of young guys, and we got a lot of 1-year, 2-year deal guys. Like, the Eagles have talent across the board, both sides of the ball, but they're just not executing. And it's not even just executing; it's just they're missing the it factor that you have to be a high caliber, functioning, winning franchise in modern football right now.
Yeah, so I'll disagree with that take just a little bit. So I feel like, one, coming off the bye, and you're going up against a team in the Cleveland Browns they're in desperation mode, very similar to how we saw against the Cincinnati Bengals with the New York Giants on Sunday Night Football. But I thought that this game wasn't that sloppy, actually. I thought the only thing that was not working for them was Saquon Barkley. And throughout the season, when they haven't had A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, Saquon Barkley has had some productive games. But when you look at him in the last 2 to 3 games, he has not been the effective runner. The previous 2 games, I'll say it had to do with Nick Sirianni's lack of commitment to the run. Only giving Saquon 4 carries in the first half of last game was obviously an issue. But I think I understand why Nick Sirianni was bucking at those fans that were telling him to run the ball more, because Saquon was the game plan in the first half. It just wasn't opening up. Barkley only averaged 2.6 yards per carry, and he entered week 6 at number 1 in the NFL in yards per carry at 6 yards per carry. They gave him the ball 18 times on the ground. He only had 47 yards. If you were to combine a successful running game with what Jalen Hurts did in this game, that would have been the juggernaut offense that we have been looking for from the Philadelphia Eagles, because Jalen Hurts, what I've noticed from him is he is a kind of quarterback that is not reluctant to throw the ball away in a tough situation. So sometimes that can affect his completion percentage on the day. But 16 completions for 264 yards goes to show you that the explosive plays were there. 2 touchdowns, a clean game without any turnovers from Jalen Hurts, which I think is a feat and an accomplishment in itself, because this dude has been turning the ball over every game this year. So to come off the bye, correct things, not be able to turn the ball over, I thought was very important for the Eagles' success in this game. The 3 plays that you broke down is really the difference, because if you think about it, the Cleveland Browns offense didn't even score a touchdown. That is the only touchdown that was scored in this game by the Cleveland Browns, which kept it close. There were some opportunities in the first half for the Philadelphia Eagles, but running the ball was the biggest problem. If they could have had the running game going, I think you would have saw some more, possessions that would have ended in a touchdown. But Saquon Barkley, I think, was the biggest issue in this game, and you can combine him with the offensive line. But Jalen Hurts, 14 rushes for 33 yards. He was averaging 2.4 yards per carry as well. So it looks like the Cleveland Browns came into this game with a emphasis on stopping the run first. But in return, it did allow some of these explosive plays to happen. Now, for Deshaun Watson, okay, he targeted Njoku and Amari Cooper on 56.5% of his attempts, and they combined it for 9 receptions for 73 yards. Yeah. Okay, now the big difference is those are the 2 big guys for the Cleveland Browns. When you talked about the two big guys for the Philadelphia Eagles, we saw those statistics, and most of it came from A.J. Brown, who had 116 yards on 6 receptions. But A.J. Brown, he is the difference maker of this offense. He is what Saquon Barkley was to the 2022 New York Giants. He is that guy, and when they don't have him on the field, they're obviously a completely different offense. So you need your number one playmaker on the field. I think that is important, especially when you're seeing a guy like Jalen Hurts, to me, looking like he's kind of gimping around the field a little bit. I love that explosive play from Devonta Smith, 45 yards, takes the slant to the house. There's no one even in the picture by the time he gets to like the 20-yard line. And I thought that they did a good job of getting Jahan Dotson involved. It wasn't a large role, right? He only had the 1 reception for 10 yards, but they also gave him a jet sweep where he had 13 yards and converted on 3rd down. I like those kind of things. Now you got to move forward. You know, this is kind of an eye for an eye type of situation. You got A.J. Brown back in the lineup, and the Philadelphia Eagles now are going to be probably without Dallas Goedert for a second here, but more importantly, they're going to be without their left tackle, Jordan Mailata, who Sirianni said he's going to be out for several weeks now. I think that gives a little bit of a lane for some of these other teams in the NFC East, especially the New York Giants, who got to play the Philadelphia Eagles next week. But I thought that this was it wasn't the perfect get-right game, but it was a good enough get-right game for the Philadelphia Eagles to get over that hump. And now you look at them in the NFC East, just a game back from the Washington Commanders, and they have yet to play any of their best football, I think, just yet.
I agree. And this seems to be a thing with the Eagles over the past, few years, where it's like they're kind of just like getting by, winning these games and not necessarily like blowing anybody out, but like they find ways to win.
Yeah. And really just last year, because 2022,
it was when they went on that run.
Teams.
Yeah, that was when they went on the run. But it's kind of interesting because how long can that hold up for? Like last year when it held up for the first, 11 weeks of the season? And then they went on that. They lost 5 of their last 6. Yeah, so it's that's what concerns me, because I'm hoping that Saquon Barkley is the missing. Let me not say hoping, but Philadelphia Eagles fans are hoping that Saquon Barkley is the missing piece to keeping them from going down that same path that they went down last year. And
hopefully Kellen Moore. I think Kellen Moore, even more importantly, because last year the issue was Jalen Hurts against the blitz, and even in this game he was good against the blitz as well. I think that Kellen Moore has done a good job of correcting some of those issues that they had, with the hot concepts and just facing blitz in general. So if they do find a way to not finish this season strong, it'll be a different reasoning for the outcome, I think. They've gone through all these coordinators, and, they got a head coach on the hot seat right now. It's really not looking that great for the Philadelphia Eagles, but considering how bad they have played to be a game back from the Commanders, I think they're in a great position to try to take this division.
Yeah, I mean, I was put on the hot seat myself and had to pick a team, and I went with the Commanders, although let's just to save my own ass, I did pick the Eagles to win the NFC East from the beginning of the season, and I did pick Washington.
So with more data, so what does that mean? What am I supposed to get for that?
That means I'm hedging my bet. Awthentik.
I got you. Couple of outs here.
Yeah,
50%
I got a little bit of money.
Pick the winner.
I got a little bit of money on both teams. What can I say?
I feel you. Yo, big shout out to the gang, man. We see all of y'all in the chat. Salute to all of y'all, man. Let's get off into this next game, though, man. I'm looking for you.
Before we do,
go ahead.
Big shout out to our guy, independent outsider, Dave Denton, with a $9.99 super chat. Says DJ limits us offensively. 6 years of a pattern. We have a little success doing one thing, and teams adjust. First it was Saquon. Teams put 8 in a box. Screen games since he adjusted. Flexibility is key. Ooh, we're going to talk about this.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. Do we got another one as well?
Yes, we do. Big shout out to, love this name. Shout out to the names lately. Awthentik was having a field day on Giant Overreaction, and I see that guy in the chat too. We'll say what's up in a little bit.
Oh, that's my dog.
Yeah. Ridiculous Nicholas for the $2 super chat says, how many careers must die for Daniel Jones to look fly?
Well, there was Pat Shurmur. There was Joe Judge. You could lump him in with Jason Garrett. And now you got Brian Dable and Joe Shane here. You got Dave Gettleman. Don't forget about Dave Gettleman.
He's been collecting bodies for the street. He's like, you guys want my body, but nope, I'm just gonna collect bodies. He's the damn bone collector out here in New York.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get off into it. Talk about these New York Giants again with more data presented. Man, I got some more nuggets for y'all. This one's going to be a very interesting one. The Giants welcomed Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals to MetLife Stadium.
Giants are on the board with 11:16 to go here in the third.
All right, guys, the Bengals improved to 2-4. The New York Giants fall to 2-4. Bengals were favored by 3.5 in this one. They covered that. The over-under, 49. Vegas was smoking some boat on this one. Last meeting, the Giants did beat the Bengals 19-17 in 2020 on Sunday Night Football. The Giants lost 17-7. Had every opportunity to win this damn game. You had the Zach Moss fumble, the Chase Brown fumble we couldn't recover. The Bengals offense just wasn't quite clicking on the day. Huge drop from Jamar Chase going across the middle, which would have been another touchdown. Beard, what do you want? You want the bad first or you want the good first?
Well, I guess the good would be shorter than the bad, right? So let's go ahead and go with the good first.
All right, let's go with the good. The defense wasn't just good. The defense was great. Giants won time of possession, 34 minutes, 7 seconds to 25 minutes, 53 seconds. The defense had 17 pressures, 4 sacks, 3 quarterback hits, 10 quarterback hurries. The Bengals are just the second Giants opponent to score a first possession touchdown on the season. And the Giants pretty much limited them to not scoring any more touchdowns till right at the end of that game. The Giants defense has not allowed not one team to score more than 21 points in a game this season. Brian Burns heard some comments I said on Twitter, and he was like, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. He had 8 tackles, 4 pressures, 2 TFLs, 2 quarterback hits, 1 quarterback sack. Let's not get too excited. I do think he earned his money on Sunday Night Football, but his pass rush win rate was just 7.7%. Just a little jab at my guy Brian Burns one time. Azeez Ojulari in place for Kayvon Thibodeau had damn near the game of his life. 6 pressures, 2 sacks, 4 quarterback hurries. All of those are top 5 numbers on the week. 18.8 pass rush win rate. Tyler Nubin led the New York Giants with 9 tackles, 5 solo. The Giants struggled completely in this game, but they are 2-17 in their last 19 regular season primetime games. Let's get to the bad. Okay? Giants' longest completion on the day was just 15 yards in this one. And before we get off to talking about the quarterback, let's just talk about some overall team bad stuff. Andrew Thomas had an MRI on his foot today, and the news came out that it's likely that Andrew Thomas might miss the entire 2024 season. When Brian Daboll had to talk about it, he said his status for the remainder of the year is up in the air. So seems like some teams are going to be smoking some New York Giants pack the rest of this season. The Giants were 5 of 15 on third down. Only 5 teams have scored 28 or fewer points in their first 3 home games since 2000. The Giants are on that list 2 times in 2023 and in 2024. Since 2000, there are only 3 teams that have been held to just 1 total touchdown in their first 3 home games. New York Giants are one of them. Both the other teams started out 0-3, finished the season 4-12. That's not a good look for the New York Giants. The Giants right now in their last 38 games have a record of 11-21-1, and our offense right now has a lot to do with that. We're averaging just 16 points per game. That's damn near half what the Commanders are averaging right now. We're entering week 7, and the Giants don't have a passing touchdown at home all damn year. Joe Burrow started off the game with a 47-yard touchdown run. That's the longest run by a quarterback versus the New York Giants since 1942.
Oh, my God.
Daniel Jones had a red zone interception that was the equivalent
Looked like
of,
it was from 1942.
I mean, that would be a compliment. I was going to say more like stepping in dog shit. You know, like you get back in the house and you about to touch the carpet and you go,
what's that smell?
the fuck is that?
And then you
look at
Daniel
your shoes
Jones.
and you got a hand grip of dog shit on the bottom of your shoes. That's kind of what that was like. Plenty of first half issues in this game. 5 drives, 4 punts, 1 interception, 2 for 6 on third down, just 119 total yards, just 5 rushing attempts from the running backs, 0 for 1 in the red zone. And we haven't even talked about Daniel Jones yet. Let's talk about Daniel Jones just a little bit. Beard, I think, actually, I don't think they are here. I do want to get these up because I think it's important that we see the stats of Daniel Jones. And I don't think I uploaded them, but I want to get them up here. So bear with me for a little bit, New York Giants fans, because I want you to see this with your own 2 eyes to be able to come to your own conclusion on Mr. Daniel Jones himself here, okay? So let's pull these these statistics up here. And shout out to everybody that tuned in on Bleach Report. That stream was definitely lit. I'm gaining more friends and more family on Bleach Report now that, I said the team was going to be bad and the team looks kind of bad, right? Daniel Jones on the day, 22 of 41 for 205 yards, no touchdowns, one stepping in dog shit type of interception, a quarterback rating of 57.5. His QBR was 18.3. He was pressured for a modest 14 times on the day, sacked just 2 times. Daniel Jones has not scored a touchdown at home in a game that started after 7 p.m. since November 11th, 2020. That was the second time he played against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That was a long damn time ago. Shout out Awthentik and the records from back in the day. Jones has thrown an interception in every single home primetime game in his career. He has 8 games at home on primetime, 12 interceptions. He's 5 of 25 now on deep passes of 20 yards or more throughout the year. That's just 20%. He came into week 5, 2 of 14. The average depth of completion, 2.2 yards. You can't tell me I can't go out there and have an average depth of completion for 2.2 air yards. It was a Daniel Jones low in his career. He had just 2 completions that breached 10 yards. He's now 1 and 14 in primetime games. It's the worst primetime record since the merger. That was coming into the game and coming out of the game. 12 touchdowns, 20 interceptions in primetime games, 0 of 8 in primetime games at home. It's getting really bad here for Daniel Jones. He has not thrown a touchdown in the last 7 starts on primetime. Think about that. Think about your quarterback going 7 straight primetime games without a passing touchdown and going 657 straight days without a passing touchdown at MetLife. Now, I'm going to just wind this down to this. Entering 2021, and I told everybody about this on the Giant Overreaction, when we signed Kenny Galladay and drafted Kadarius Toney, brought in John Ross, brought in Kyle Rudolph, I said, man, now we ain't really got too many excuses except the offensive line. I think that Daniel Jones will put up 31 touchdowns and 13 interceptions. And, of course, everyone on Twitter, this is the Awthentik that I like, man. You know, the optimist guy, right? Since that day, it's been 4 seasons since that tweet came out. We're about to finish the 4th season. Daniel Jones has 33 touchdowns and 22 interceptions 4 years later. What are we doing, New York Giants fans?
Where's Drew Lock, man?
Yeah, I think you were a week ahead of schedule. It was probably pressing you out.
I bet you Drew Lock has more primetime wins than Daniel Jones does.
Drew Lock has more primetime wins last season than Daniel Jones does in 2 seasons. He had 2 primetime wins last year as a backup.
What are we doing here, New York Giants fans? I don't know. Listen,
we're watching bad football.
Yeah, you're watching really bad football, and I feel bad for the defense, man. It felt so good to see Azeez out there doing his thing, man, because I have flashbacks because, he had that was his rookie year, right, when he was just going ham.
Yeah.
And then he had a bunch of injuries. And it just, but to see him kind of go out there in replacement of Thibodeau and perform the way he did, I thought that was fabulous. This was such a frustrating game to watch. And I'm not even a Giants fan, but it just, and you could tell that they were pressing the issue. And they knew they needed to win this game. There were some questionable decisions in this game. First of all, Tyrone Tracy, with only 3 carries in the first half, is an absolute abomination.
In a 1-score game.
And this is the thing that sucks is last week we were like, oh, Dable, what a game plan. And then this week you're just like.
It was sketchy.
What the hell? You literally have a guy that he's your best. I'm going to say this right now. Malik Neighbors is out of the equation, right? Tyrone Tracy is your best offensive player on the team.
A little bit.
Outside of Malik Neighbors.
I'm gonna go with, a little good old reliable
Darius Slayton. Okay,
yeah.
but listen.
I like Tyrone, though. Tyrone, you got a lot more to prove, though, before I get in that,
course,
that
but I'm talking about right now. Right now,
yeah,
he's at the best production in 2 games.
I mean, I don't know. Darius Slayton coming off 122 last week.
And Tyrone Tracy had 130 total yards, and he had over 100 total yards in this game.
Yeah, Tyrone Tracy been balling, but like I said, you said right now, I think maybe down the line, but I can't give him the crown to the offense without Malik Neighbors there.
Can we at least get him starting to get fitted for the crown enough where he gets more than 3 touches in the first half?
Yeah, the wedding will be in the spring, and we getting him right. You know what I mean?
Because that was the most frustrating thing for me to watch as a football fan. Because you're in, and you said it, in a close game. It just find a way. Because listen, the Giants have more yards, more first downs, more longer time of possession. They were getting to Joe Burrow all game. It's just. Cincinnati didn't even score in the red zone. Their touchdown, came from outside the red zone, both for their touchdowns. But it's just it's so frustrating. Daniel Jones he can't do it. And I mean, he can't do it at home. He can't do it at prime time. Maybe you just only play him on the road in afternoon games and then play everybody else in all the other games. Yeah. Maybe that's a solution, but there's so much stuff here. I want to get to this one situation in the end of the game, which I thought was the wrong decision and kind of had, I don't want to say that it had an effect on the final outcome of the game, but I thought that the game could have gone another direction at the last couple of minutes had this play had been different. So 4th down. On the Cincinnati 36-yard line, you're down 10-7 with 3 minutes and 1 second left. Mm-hmm. Kick the damn field goal, bro. Kick the field goal. Why?
You know what's interesting about that situation? They got right back into that situation with Greg Joseph there, and they tried to let him kick the field goal, and he shanked it. So I think Brian Daboll just isn't confident in that kicker. That's really what I think it is.
And that could be very true. And I mean, so at some point here, we're gonna have to start. I mean, they're having kicking issues all year long.
Yeah,
and there's a lot going on here, and I mean, I know.
And this kid, I think Greg Joseph was. I think he was perfect before coming into this game. I think he was 8 for 8, which is crazy. Now you have another issue with the kicker. What are you going to work out somebody else? We signed him from the Detroit Lions practice squad, I believe it was. But you can tell that Daboll didn't have faith in him. I think they went for it 5 times on 4th down in this game.
Yeah,
and I thought that call was sketchy too, because I'm like, it's been like a game where there wasn't a lot of productivity on the offensive side of the ball, right? Mm-hmm. Like, why not tie it up? I thought the same thing. But then we got in that same situation again down. There was a 48-yarder, I think it was, and he shanks the kick, and he don't look confident. He looks shook before he's taking the kick.
But that's why it's easy to kind of say some of this stuff in hindsight. But for me, it was weird because I felt like you have to at least attempt the field goal, right? Let's say you don't have confidence in your guy. Do you have confidence in Daniel Jones, who's throwing like 53 completion percentage on the day?
Yeah.
I mean,
I do understand that part. Yeah.
Like you're gonna have to pick your poison, and for me, it just the way your defense had been playing, right? I felt like you're putting yourself in a better situation to win the game. Now, some people will disagree and say, oh, the analytics, man, screw the analytics. I'm so sick of the analytics.
Or maybe even, like the aggressive approach because the offense has been so lackluster as well. I think people are going to be like, they're not scoring points anyway. You get down there, you got to get as much as you can out of it. But it was a very different Brian Daboll in this game because the aggression on 4th down. I mean, there were so many. He went for it on 4th down from his own 38-yard line and didn't get it.
I was going to bring that up, but then I was like, okay, the defense bailed their asses on that one.
I think it was Aziz on that too, right? Who forced the fumble. I think it was, or maybe it was Micah
McFadden. Either Micah McFadden forced it or recovered it. I can't remember.
One of the two. I remember. Yeah.
But that was idiotic. And that one it almost made me more angry. And if I would have probably doubled down on that had the defense not bailed them out. Because
did you see what the analytics said on the broadcast on the graphic?
It said go for it, right?
It said toss up. It said, it's like a 50-50 thing, like go for it. And I'm like,
burn the program.
At times, man, just get back to just, I remember teams back in the day, like they'd be down like 24 points in the 4th quarter. And you're on your own 35-yard line and comes 4th down and they're like, we're punting the ball, man. We're saving face here a little bit. And these guys now just any chance to go for it, they're going for it.
They think it's Madden. Like, we're not 12 years old playing Madden on Super Nintendo, okay? Like, you can't just HB toss Barry Sanders and cross your fingers.
Spin.
Yeah. You can't just do I don't remember what it's called. It wasn't called Hail Mary. It was just basically the all nines. You know what I'm saying? They had another name for it. But it's just, for me, like, it's starting to become, the Giants don't know how to win football games.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely
and
a thing.
That's an issue. And so, like, that obviously bothered me. And then, like, when I saw people who were coping for Daniel Jones, it doesn't matter. They didn't get any points off of the interception. That is the stupidest thing that anybody could say. When somebody turns the ball over in the red zone, and even if they don't score, you have to understand the swing of football, the game of momentum. Like, they might not have gotten any points off of it, but you wasted a drive. You didn't score any points. The field possession game is now completely flipped. You know, like, there's so many different factors that go in, and then a turnover in the red zone is more detrimental to your offense than it is if your defense stops the team from scoring, right? Like,
yeah, for sure.
It's getting a turnover, having a turnover in the red zone is just as bad as not scoring off of a turnover that your defense got.
I'd argue worse because especially the way that the New York Giants approach their drives. They're all about methodically marching up the field, very slow, short passing, run game here, screen pass here. This is a offense for a quarterback that is not ready. So when you finally get down there after controlling the time of possession the whole entire first half and throughout the whole entire game, and then you come away with 0 points, that's just disheartening to everybody on the team. And you're not getting down there frequently. They only got to the red zone twice in this game.
They're and listen, if we can't beat the dead horse anymore, like, the horse is dead, right? Like, they're not gonna bench Daniel Jones, obviously. I mean, just if they were, it would have happened by now. I mean, like, there's no way Daniel Jones comes back as the quarterback next year.
I think he played well enough, though. You know, he silenced the benching stuff after Seattle.
Yeah, he did.
You're talking about a 4-game stretch where he had 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. He had multiple passing touchdowns in 3 out of the 4 games. So you couldn't have benched him then. But the thing is that they're getting into that bag of, here we go, more hope. I think Daniel Jones might be turning the corner. That's how people are looking at this. Too fucking optimistic when they need to look at it with the 6 years of data that we actually have on this guy. 2022 is his only decent year when you really look at it, because in 2019, he was turning the ball over at such a high rate that there's no way your team's going to win games with a guy fumbling it 19 times in one season, 11 lost fumbles, 6 scoop and scored for touchdowns. Now you're a liability to not only the offense, but you're putting up points for the other team. And now you got no Andrew Thomas. Who's about to play? What are they going to do? Are they going to move Jermaine Illuminor to left tackle and then try to bring Evan Neal in at right tackle? Or are they going to try to go with one of these swing guys at the left tackle position, because they're hit right now?
They're in some trouble. They're in some trouble, and this is where it kind of gets interesting. Now you're really looking at the injury clause, because are you gonna allow Daniel Jones to get hurt with a backup left tackle? Because that has to be crossing. I mean, this is a business. That has to be crossing their minds, right? If they're smart,
that should be on their mind every time Daniel Jones runs the ball, because he's taking hella punishment when he runs the ball, first off. And really, you're just trying to avoid the big season-ender injury, the ACL. That's really all you're trying to avoid, because Daniel Jones could go out there and break a collarbone, and they just put him on the bench and let him heal up. And by the time they get to the time to pass the physical after the season's over, he'll be healthy and you can still cut him. But it's the big injury that they're trying to avoid. But that the injury clause has got to be on their mind. If not, everyone needs to be fired, man. What's going on here? If you're not thinking about this injury clause, like, I said this on the Giant Overreaction, that the Giants need to be very proactive right now and figure out what is the direction of the quarterback position right now. Don't wait till the end of the year with Daniel Jones to see what he does, to see if he gets hurt, to see if he can put up average statistics. Whether or not you play him until the end of the season, they need to figure out what they're going to do with the quarterback position without the data. Not the data that lies ahead of us. Use the data that's already behind us. Joe Shane said out his own mouth that history is the best way to be able to tell what is going to happen in the future. So use history. Use it to benefit you. You've seen Daniel Jones now underneath your regime for 2 years and in a Giants uniform for 6. It's getting ridiculous now. It's getting ridiculous.
I don't want to make it seem like the reason why the Giants lost is because of Daniel Jones, but the reason why the Giants didn't win.
Beard. It was. He's the reason why they lost. There's no way around it in this game. And I don't come up here and say that shit like out of nowhere.
Yeah.
If you put any competent quarterback on the field, you look at the throws that he was missing in this game, the comeback route to Darius Slayton, the over route from Wan'Dale Robinson where he's just wide open on third down.
Yeah.
And like even the deep shots that he took in this game, the overthrows to Jalen Hyatt, like you cannot win games when a quarterback is this inconsistent. You just can't. And then you got to look at it from your perspective as a Commanders fan too, right? Like you get to watch Lamar Jackson and Jaden Daniels battle, go head to head, and Jaden Daniels looks like he belongs. Daniel Jones looks like he's skating by. He looks like
a backup quarterback.
He looks like Brian Dable's dragging his ass through the season trying to make this shit salvageable. And that's just, if Brian Dable ends up getting fired over this shit, that's gonna be ridiculous work right there. And I hope Mara's not thinking like that.
There's no way that Dable is gone before Daniel Jones, right?
It could be at the same time situation. But listen, when it comes to Daniel Jones, I can't say no more. There's no way. I can't. We've watched this for 3 years. It was like, man, there's no way that they're going to, take upon the 5th-year option. They declined it. Then it was like, there's no way they're going to sign Daniel Jones after this year, right? Then it was, wait a minute. There's no way they're going to sign him for $30 million a year, right? They're not going to tag him at $30 million a year, right? They're not going to, wait a minute. They said $40 million a year? They're not going to pay him $40 million a year, right? Then he comes back and there's like, blows out his ACL. There's no way Daniel Jones is going to be back next year, right? He's here, man. Bro, we just dropped the nuke and the roach just keeps crawling up out of the concrete, bro. With powder, with white dust all over him. There's nothing we can do. So I'm not ruling nothing out when it comes to Daniel Jones, man. I just got to sit back, root that this kid is going to play better. But what is it? What is it about the primetime and home games that is just completely destroying this dude's confidence? Because on the road, he's been a different quarterback this year.
There's no answer for that. I mean, like, maybe you might be able to find an answer if, like, he was a rookie, right? Like, oh, he's bright lights and this and that. But, bro, we're in year 7. I mean, 7 or 6? I lost count. I don't know what year we're in now. 6, yeah.
6. 7 straight primetime home games that you have not thrown a passing touchdown, man.
There's you don't have any. There's nothing. You just got how many more? Do you guys have more primetime games this year?
I'm sure we do. Oh, Pittsburgh Steelers on Monday night. They need to flex that shit. Give Daniel Jones a chance.
That's gonna be a fun 10-7 game.
I don't know, man. You saw the Pittsburgh Steelers just put up 33 on them Raiders. I don't know, bro. And Justin Fields had like 150 yards.
The Raiders are awful too.
Yeah, Raiders are awful, but they get the Giants a good run for their money right now.
I would pick the Raiders over the Giants right now.
I probably would too, man.
Max Crosby with no Andrew Thomas.
Oh my God.
That's an injury clause game waiting to happen.
Yeah, I don't know, man. If they can go out there and beat the Eagles, then the next game next week is against the Philadelphia Eagles at home again. And this is going to be the return of Saquon Barkley. He's going to be running like Isaiah yards. Pacheco out that motherfucker.
200 yards.
I don't know, man. You better get it together because that 47 this week.
I know the Giants defense is playing fantastic. And I know Saquon Barkley's coming off of a rough game. He's going to run for 200 yards.
All right, the
Giants fans
yards.
are going to be so pissed. They might just start throwing stuff on the field. Saquon Barkley is going to be like Terrell Owens going to the Mills Star against the Cowboys.
Oh, my God.
He is
you giving them ideas right now. You giving them ideas. That's going to be an interesting game. I mean, the Giants could get back on track. You guys play the Carolina Panthers next week.
Yep.
And the Cowboys, I think they got another tough game. They're on the bye week. Oh, yeah, and then they got 2 games on the road after the bye. That's what it is.
Yeah. We'll talk about stinking.
Yeah, I mean, the NFC East has been a little bit of a
good to be 4-2, my guy.
A bit of a letdown, man. And I think y'all are probably headed towards 5-2 here. Y'all, the benefit of having the 4th place schedule for the Commanders is definitely going to be a good thing. But let's go ahead and just get right off into that game, man. I'm done talking about these Giants, man, but who knows? You know, the fan base will flip-flop if we beat the Philadelphia Eagles next week and say, we got a chance.
It would be the second coming of Jesus.
Yeah, it definitely would. So we'll see how it goes, but definitely want to talk about this next matchup, man. This was a matchup between two of the best offenses in the National Football League. And matter of fact, before we get to that, I think I saw a super chat come in.
Let's go ahead and take a look and see where we're at here. Oh, yeah, we definitely have one. Big shout out to Formula Red for the $4.99 super chat. Because I feel bad for fans paying an arm and a leg to see this team. I've promised myself I will not take me or my wife to a game as long as Jones is the quarterback. Y'all sound like Commanders fans. Old Commanders fans right now.
That's a bold promise right now, man. My girl don't even watch these games like that. She's not even interested in seeing this shit show called the New York Giants. It's been bad, but shout out Formula Red, man, for the $4.99 super chat, bro. We definitely appreciate that, fam. All right, let's get off into this Commanders matchup here one time, man. They traveled right up 95 to take on the Baltimore Ravens. You know it's a new day when you're excited to talk about a Commanders game here. 4-2, Commanders now fell to after this loss to the Ravens, who improved to 4-2. It don't make sense. I don't understand how the Ravens are 4-2. They were favored by 6.5 in this one. Ended up just covering that. The Commanders ended up losing this one 30-23. That's now 2 straight wins for the Ravens against the whatever you want to, against the Washingtons.
The Washington.
They did beat them back in 2020, 31-17. The over-under was 51.5. We just got over that too, so Vegas knew what they was doing on this one. Commanders' 4-game winning streak comes to an end here in Baltimore. The Commanders seem to have lost Jonathan Allen. They're saying for the season is what I heard. Is that what you're hearing?
Yep, torn pec, so he's done for the year. We signed, I forgot who it was. We signed an ex-Cowboys player to the practice
Dan
squad.
Quinn ain't playing no games.
We also had Kyle Fuller, former Baltimore Raven, come in for a workout today at the cornerback position. He has not played since 2022, so we're trying to find some flex seal to be thrown on some of these holes for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, you know how you put it on a tank like that. This one definitely got off to a bit of a slow start with two of the top-ranked offenses. They had combined for just 114 yards in the first quarter and just put up 6 points in this one. First drive interception by Mike Sanristil. That was a nice one there after a big play from Zay Flowers. Lamar gets picked off. A big return. Jaden Daniels ended up getting sacked on third down. Washington had to settle for 3 in this one. They did take a 3-0 lead. Justin Tucker answered with a field goal of his own to make it 3-3. Derrick Henry, his first touchdown of the day, that put the Ravens in front 10-3. Washington came back with a flea flicker back to the running back, which is something that I have not seen.
Oh, my God. Cliff
and made a big play out of it, man. Cliff Kingsbury out here doing his thing. And then Jaden Daniels found Terry McLaurin in the back of the end zone. A beautiful toe-tapping reception from Terry McLaurin and a beautiful ball from Jaden Daniels to get the score tied up at 10-10. Then Lamar Jackson answered with his own touchdown to Mark Andrews, who really got back in this game. It was followed by a shanked field goal, 52-yarder by the Commanders, and it was 17-10 at the half. Mark Andrews, 3 receptions, 66 yards, 1 touchdown. He had the 38-yard touchdown in this one, big play. Derrick Henry had a touchdown to open up the second half. Jaden Daniels answered again. Derrick Henry's second half touchdown. He found McLaurin for his second touchdown of the day, another beautiful catch. And it came down to Washington hoping for a big stop late in this game, and the Ravens got a few first downs and ran the clock out to win this one 30-23. Now, just want to talk about a few highlight players here. Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is one of the elites. And I think that there are only 3 elite quarterbacks really in the league. It's Patrick Mahomes, it's Lamar Jackson, and whoever else you want to put at number 3. I don't mind. For me, it'd probably be Josh Allen at this moment in time. Jackson was 20 of 26 for 323, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. 11 carries for 40 yards, QBR of 72.7. He had 9 passes to Zay Flowers in the first half, 12.4 yards per attempt. On 11 pressures, he was sacked just 2 times. His pressure-to-sack percentage was 18.2, a passer rating of 114.7, 0 turnover-worthy plays, and an ADOT of 10.5 yards. Zay Flowers had a career day. Caught all 9 of his targets. That's the highest, the most amount of receptions he's had in his career. 132 yards is the most yards he's had in a regular season game. They even got Rashard Bateman involved in this one with 4 receptions for 71 yards on 4 targets. And Derrick Henry just doing Derrick Henry-like shit. 24 carries, 132 yards, 2 touchdowns, 5.5 yards per carry. Lamar Jackson said it's a pick-your-poison type of offense. The Ravens put up 484 total yards. Lamar Jackson was responsible for 363 all by himself. Had the 2 beautiful drives that each of them were over 93 yards. Lamar's becoming one of the better, I would say one of the best pocket passers in the NFL right now. He had 8 plays of explosive plays of over 15 yards or more and just completely balled out. I liked what I saw from Jaden Daniels, just answering every call that Lamar Jackson was making to try to keep his team in the game. 24-35 for 269, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 74.4 QBR. He was pressured 17 times and just sacked 3 times. Pressure to sack percentage was 17.6, just 1 turnover-worthy play. The fourth quarter, 4th down touchdown to Terry McLaurin to cut it to a 1-score lead. Jaden Daniels is showing you that he's playing ball like a boss, like a veteran. On the 2 drives where Lamar Jackson took his team down the field for 93 yards or more, Jaden Daniels answered both of those with touchdowns. He was 12 for 16 on those 2 drives combined. That's a 75% completion percentage, and he had 142 yards and 2 touchdowns on those drives. The Washington Commanders got a lot to look forward to. They're still 100% on the year on 4th down. They are 9 for 9 on the season.
Crazy.
They were 1 for 1 in this game. And I think although this was a loss and the scoreboard was a bit closer than it really looked in the game, I thought that this was a bit of a 2-score looking type of win, although the Ravens end up leaving this one with just a victory by 7. I think that the Washington Commanders are definitely on the up and up, and being a team that's in the rebuild right now, to be able to go out here and compete with one of the best teams, not only in their respective conference, but probably one of the best teams in the league, playing some of the hottest football right now in the Baltimore Ravens. But what did you see in this one? Outside of the roadmap and all that, I definitely want to get to that, but what you think about your performance against the Ravens?
Listen, this is one of those games that we knew going in that what we were going up against, right? Like, let's just be honest. Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry is an absolute cheat code. It is just not fair. I know Cowboys fans got to be angry as all hell because they thought they balked at bringing in Derrick Henry. He wanted to go there.
You can't be mad at what you can't afford.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, that's another story for another day. Okay, but yeah, I mean, it was an interesting game because really Washington's opportunity to win this game was right in the beginning of the game.
Yeah,
and I felt that immediately. I was like, damn, we missed our opportunity early. Okay, because when you get that interception and you know how bad your defense is and you know how good that offense is, you gotta score 7. I know they got 3, but you still gotta score 7, right? Then you hold Baltimore to a field goal. Gotta come back. You gotta come back with at least a field goal, if not a touchdown, right? Because that's the second possession. You get nothing. You punt. Then you stop Baltimore again. And I'm like, okay, this is it. This is where the tide turns. Got to get 3. Got to get 7. Punt. So interception, field goal, punt from the Ravens. Out of those first 3 possessions, we responded with 3 punt and punt.
Not going to get it done.
Not going to get it done, especially when Baltimore goes on to score on their next 5 possessions after that. That was it. After those first 3 possessions, Baltimore scored every single time they had the ball after that, with drives of like 93 yards, 87 yards, 74 yards. I mean,
yeah, 93, 90, 97. One of them was 97.
Yeah, so it was tough to in the early stages. I knew that there was going to be a problem because we weren't able to capitalize early on in the game. And that's kind of been something I noticed a little bit. They've been a little slow to start offensively. Sometimes we obviously really missed Brian Robinson in this game also.
Big time.
The one thing I will say about Cliff Kingsbury and this team was that I was upset about, they were scared to run the ball out the gate. They were not going to run the ball. And that upset me a little bit. We had McNichols, I thought was going to actually be a big part of the game plan, especially off of the way that he was performed previously. He had 2 touches in this game for 9 yards. That didn't make sense to me. Austin Eckler had 9 carries for 21 yards. The run game was non-existent. So like that, you definitely could see like that was that was an issue. Like this
Wasn't
team,
it 55 yards they were allowing coming into? Was it a little bit more
60.
than that? Maybe
They were averaging.
It was 60.
Baltimore was allowing 60 yards per game.
Yeah, and y'all end up putting up just over 50.
Yeah,
that Ravens run defense.
Yeah, and this is the thing that's crazy is I started looking into it because I was upset about that, and teams aren't even trying to run the ball against them. I think that teams are averaging the lowest amount of rushing attempts against Baltimore than any other team in the league.
Yeah.
So, like, they're just not even trying. And that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I thought that maybe you would want to try at least a little bit more. But it was tough. There's a lot of things. The penalties were back again. Some red zone penalties, some third down penalties. You know, like these are the sort of things that when you're on a 4-game winning streak and you're not a great team, but you're an up-and-coming team, those are the sort of things that you're not doing when you're on a 4-game winning streak against bad teams. When you play against good teams, you might not have a chance to win even if you don't do those things. But if you're playing against a great team and you do those things, it's going to be difficult to win. I thought Jaden Daniels was absolutely phenomenal. I thought Zach Ertz played a really good game. He was huge on that one of the later drives in that game. Terry McLaurin, the catches that Terry McLaurin was making, my God, the one third down catch on the sideline and dude is literally holding him, and Jaden Daniels puts it on the outside. Like, I mean, the ball placement for Jaden Daniels is just it's insane. And then obviously the touchdown catch, the one where they pump fake the fade and then threw him on the out like that.
Yeah.
That was like ball placement, but the catches, that's not an easy catch. I thought Noah Brown had a good game. You know, there was some sketchy penalties, but I'm not in no way, you know me, like I will not sit here and blame the refs like some people will. You know, that's just you can't blame the refs. But there was some bad penalties. There's some bad missed calls here too. I mean, Kyle Hamilton, my guy, shout out Notre Dame. You know, that was
a roughing the passer call.
Yeah, roughing the passer, and then the non-hold on Noah Brown I think it was Noah Brown on the sideline third down. Like, you can literally see his chest plate of his shoulder pads from the jersey being pulled, and there was no flag on that. A couple of the St. Juice penalties on the pass interferences. The one where
what did you think about St. Juice performance? I saw him catching a lot of flack on social media today, and he talked about it in the interview that he's going to remain aggressive and he's not going to allow any pass catchers to just run by him without being a little bit of physical kind of, grabbing him or holding him or whatever he has to do, even if he's going to get called for a penalty.
Yeah, I think that he's a handsy guy, and it's tough in today's NFL to be a handsy DB. You know, it's not like how it was back in the day where we used to have a little bit more of that sort of back and forth between the receivers and the DBs. He did not play a good game, right? But there was 2 penalties on him on third downs that should not have been penalties. If those penalties are not called like in a normal situation, people are probably looking at his performance a lot different. I mean, on the one pass interference call, the Ravens receiver slipped. That's the only reason why, and his hands were there. When he fell into his hands. They called pass interference. It was blatantly not pass interference. Everybody who was watching the game knew, the broadcasters knew, everybody knew, right? But nonetheless, that doesn't mean that that's why you lost the game. But St. Juice had a rough performance, not as bad as what he's catching flack for. He's a target for Commanders fans. People just don't like him. I thought that Emmanuel Forbes being inactive was interesting because...
Was he healthy scratch?
Healthy scratch.
Damn.
So for me, I thought that was interesting because I actually thought that this would have been a game that you could have used him solely off of his speed. Yeah. I thought that Baltimore receivers made our secondary look very slow. I will say, though, that I thought there was some good adjustments because Zay Flowers absolutely torched us in the middle of the field, specifically in that first half. But he didn't have any catches in the second half. You know, like, but
so
that's when
all that work in the first half.
All that work in the first half. Not one catch in the second half. But in the second half, Bateman ended up Bateman had all his production in the second half. Zay Flowers all his production in the first half. And then Derrick Henry, like Derrick Henry does, wore us down in the second half.
Yeah.
I thought they did well against Derrick Henry in the first half, specifically in the first quarter, first part of the second quarter. They were doing well, but it's tough. That's why I said that the beginning of the stages of the game were so important for Washington, because Baltimore is a team that can wear you down and control the clock. Everything that Baltimore does is like what Washington, like there's a lot of comparisons between Jay Daniels and Lamar Jackson, right? And I think there are some reasonable comparisons, obviously, but they all are both a little bit different in their own ways. But the way that Baltimore plays is to me is the ideal offense. Like, just to be able to have that run pass balance, to have, a quarterback that can make all the throws and can also run. And it was such a great matchup. It was great football watching. And they came up short on the roadmap. I'll tell you right now, if they would have followed the roadmap, I mean, they're not necessarily follow, because this is different than previous years of Washington just not doing what they should do. They're just bad coaching. They just didn't execute the roadmap.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that was the problem. So to go over the roadmap really quick, I wanted them to run the damn ball. I really did. I thought that bothered me. They played scared. I said, you need at least 100 yards on the ground. They got 52. Yeah, but there's going to be a lot of Jamaicans here today. I told they needed to score 30 points. I said it was going to be 31-30. They scored 23. So, I thought they were going to. They needed to.
He's looking for a way out for a second, and he said, "Bumbleclot."
Yeah. The only thing that we won on the roadmap was the turnovers. I said you needed to be +1, and they were 1-0. They didn't turn the ball over once in this game, and they forced the early turnover. They just were unable to capitalize on that the way they needed to. I said, hold Lamar Jackson under 300 yards total offense. Yeah. 363 total yards passing and running for Lamar Jackson. I said, hold Baltimore under 150 rushing yards. They ran the ball for 176. Not too bad, but I said you needed to win third downs offensively and defensively.
No moral victories on Awthentik in the beard.
Yeah, no moral victories. Okay, you're right. I was down I was reaching a little bit there. I was looking for a little bit of love. I'm sorry about that. Okay, so I needed to win third down. They were 4 of 12 on third down. You did not win offensively, and you needed to win third down defensively. And you did not do that. Baltimore was 6 of 10 on third down. Yeah, the biggest one though, of all of them. Yeah, this is like dance hall volume 26 right now. Okay. Welcome to the Sean Paul concert. Sean Paul Tiny Desk. Right? And the time of possession was brutal. Baltimore was 36 minutes and 8 seconds to Washington's 23 minutes and 52 seconds. So it's really what it came down to. They beat us in what we want to do as a team. And all that being said, in the last 5 to 7 years, we would have never been in a situation that we're in right now to compete with this level in the NFL. Outside of those random make-a-wish games against Philadelphia when they were 11-0 and Pittsburgh when they were 11-0. You know what I'm saying? Those sort of games. Outside of that, I thought, this is what we are. This is the team we are. We're going to be able to compete offensively against any team in the league. Right? I've gotten to the point where I'm confident to say that our offense, with Jaden Daniels playing quarterback, we can win against any team in the NFL.
I like that.
But we have to find a way to fix the issues on the defensive side of the ball. But we knew that going into this game. And I think another thing is I think it's really important to see how important it is to have a running game. If you look at all the teams that lost in the NFC East, and I'm sure this is probably league-wide, all of the teams that lost in the NFC East had shit run games this week. And you see a team like Baltimore, I mean, you see it. Lamar Jackson threw for 300 yards, but they also ran for, I know it's against Washington, but like you should be able to do that in the NFL. And I think that that's really what it is part of this offense, is being able to just, especially when you have a dual threat running back with a running game. Because Austin Eckler has been fantastic, but Austin Eckler is fantastic because Brian Robinson is fantastic.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So it's just like it's a trickle down effect when it comes to the way that these offenses run. Baltimore, Washington, like even in Buffalo, I think you've seen that, like the downgrade of their wide receiving core has been masked by how good James Cook has been so far this year, and then last night Ray Davis, right?
Yeah,
it's so important to be able to have that with some of these high caliber quarterbacks, because it opens up. Look at Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams has been playing lights out. You want to know when he started playing lights out? When DeAndre Swift started going crazy.
Mm-hmm. And I think also when you look at it in hindsight, there are two factors about running the ball that are always going to, they're going to influence a game a little bit. If you're down on the scoreboard, you won't be able to run the ball the way that you want to. So obviously the numbers are going to reflect that. And we see that across the league all the time. The Giants get down by 7, but that's why I think it's important to stay committed to the run. Even when you're down 7, and I know even for you said even when you're down like 17, still stay committed to the run, because that way you can keep defenses off balance and be able to open up things with play action and all kind of different things. If you have a true solid running game, you'll have people stacking the box in no time, and it's just going to open up plays down the field. For me, the NFL is built on running the damn ball and explosive plays. Those are the two things. And to do that, you have to secure up the trenches. Obviously, you got to have some big boys on that offensive line and on that defensive line, be able to run the ball and stop the run. It starts right there, because the team that gets the leverage, it's almost like a tug of war in the beginning, in the first quarter or two, of which team's going to be able to establish the run. And the team that does establish the run, normally, especially in 2024, has gone on to win the game in most scenarios.
Yeah, so I'm not upset. I'm really not. Like, it was so evident to me that we were going to come up just short early in the game, that like it was more of just kind of watching to see how Jaden Daniels handled the situation for me, because sometimes like it's difficult because we've gotten to this point where we're 4-2, right? Like it's like, oh shit, you know what I'm saying? But like to kind of like keep in focus though at the same time that this season was and is all about Jaden Daniels. Like, and I think that this was a great moment for him, not just because of the way that he played necessarily, but just the fight, and the plays that he made. More so than the way that he played is the plays that he made.
Yeah, fourth down, the leadership, all of that.
And you see him in the huddle, and just, it's just everything looks so different about this team. And even like, I mean, we're so used to seeing Ron Rivera, like,
angry as hell on the sideline,
and
trying
I
to hold
just
it
see
in.
Dan Quinn, like, and just this team, Cliff Kingsbury, like, I'm still very optimistic. I think we can do some damage here. Now, I never was a Super Bowl guy here, but I think we can make the playoffs. Like I said, with Jaden Daniels, I'm confident that we can compete with anybody in the league.
The good part about it, too, is you have a defensive-minded guy in Dan Quinn, so the things that need to be corrected, like he'll bring in the right pieces sooner or later. And right now you don't have all those pieces you need on the defensive side of the ball, but he's going to get that defense corrected over the years. So you're looking at first-year rebuild, having a lot of success. These are the kind of teams that in a couple of years you can look at them and, expect them to be able to make deep playoff runs.
Yep, so back to the drawing board for a home game. Back-to-back 425 games now for Washington.
It's a good get-right one against them Carolina Panthers, though. Not saying you can't lose it, but that's a good game to, like, come off of a big loss. And I think that this game against the Ravens will be one, if y'all make it in the playoffs, that you'll look back on, and be like, that game kind of made us who we are now that we are a playoff team. Kind of reminds me of like what the Bucs did against the Saints in 2020 when they won the Super Bowl. They had 2 losses to the Saints during the year. Or take it all the way back to Eli Manning in the Super Bowl runs where the Dallas Cowboys had beat us twice during the year, the Atlanta Falcons had beat us during the year, and the Green Bay Packers had beat us during the year. And when it came time for Eli to go on his run, he took care of all those teams. So I do think that, if the Commanders can get into the playoffs, we'll look back at this game as maybe one of these games that kind of shaped the team of what we're going to see in the future.
Love that. Absolutely love that.
Yeah, so let's get off into this last one. Not so good of a future is what it's looking like right now for these Dallas Cowboys that have definitely been in struggle mode. They got their socks blown off against the Detroit Lions here. Let's get off into this one. Lot to be talked about in this game here. The Cowboys fall to 3-3, which, considering how poorly they have played the last 3 to 4 weeks here, is not that bad, actually. The Lions improved to 4-1 after coming off their bye this past week. The Cowboys did beat the Lions in the last meeting, and it was the 2-point conversion controversy. We'll get to that here in a little bit. I think that the Detroit Lions were a little bit spiteful in this game. Lions were favored by 3. Over-under was 52. They damn near got there by themselves, scoring 47 points in this game. Dallas Cowboys left this one without even having a touchdown. It was 27-6 at the half. The Cowboys have now lost, and I thought that this would be the reason why the Cowboys would win this game, was because it was at home, but they've now lost 4 straight games at home, and the Cowboys have given up 167 points in their last 4 home games. It's the 3rd most ever over a 4-game home stretch in the NFL history. And they're the first team since 2000 to trail by 14 points or more at halftime on their home field in 4 straight games as well. They had won 16 in a row at home before this 4-game losing streak, and this 38-point loss was their largest in this stadium. They have not lost in AT&T Stadium by 38 points, and they've only lost 3 games by more than 38 in the history of this franchise. The Cowboys have a bye, and then it's back-to-back road games coming up, so they will enter November without a win at home, that's just absolutely incredible to think about here. They were down 20-3 in the second quarter, and the Cowboys go for it on 4th down from their own 40-yard line and don't get it. And these are those desperation analytical moments that me and the Beard are always talking about. Avonte Turpin did have a kickoff that he damn near took to the house when they were down 27-3, and this was just a story of the day for them. Dak gets sacked, incomplete on 2nd and 19, a completion of CeeDee Lamb short of the sticks, and they have to settle for 3 from Brandon Aubrey. The Lions had 5 forced turnovers in this game. They held the Cowboys to just 111 total yards in the first half, and they held the Cowboys to just 3 field goals in this game. And I think that this is the kind of game that Jared Goff is demanding the certain kind of respect that he deserves. A lot of people think of him as a fringe top 10 guy, but he looked like one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league in this game. 18 of 25 for 315 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He's coming off a 19 for 19 against the Seattle Seahawks on Monday before the bye. Listen, there were a couple of throws in this game where Jared Goff, the amount of velocity that he was throwing with across the middle, I was extremely surprised because I know Jared Goff can make all the throws, but I think that he's getting better as we see him play with this Detroit Lions team. You saw the rebirth of Tim Patrick in this one. 3 receptions for 68 yards. He had the big 42-yard play in this one. Jameson Williams now has huge plays in back-to-back games. He had 3 receptions for 76 yards, the 37-yard touchdown in this one. Burnt Trayvon Diggs on that play, too. You saw him just completely trailing on the play. And the name of the game for the Detroit Lions here and the NFL is explosive plays. We even got to see Hendon Hooker in this game. The Lions' first-team offense scored on all 9 of their possessions in this game. Touchdown, field goal, touchdown, field goal, touchdown, touchdown, field goal, touchdown. If you're a Detroit Lions fan, you're waking up on this Tuesday morning feeling damn great about your team. I mean, there was one woe in this game. You talked about it with Aiden Hutchinson obviously being out for the season, but the Lions were having fun in this game. They had a toss, reverse, flea flicker for a touchdown to Sam Laporta in this one. They tried to throw the ball to an eligible lineman. They got called back for ineligible man down the field on a touchdown play. They tried a hook and ladder to Penny Sewell in this game. And Jared Goff was great, but Dak Prescott was not. It started off shaky for Dak Prescott on the first drive. 2 potential interceptions on that first drive. A bobbled pass that ended up getting caught by Rico Dowdle. He had another one that was intercepted by Kerry Joseph. There was a penalty on Detroit, so the Cowboys got the ball back. They settled for 3 on that. He's picked off by Brian Branch in the red zone. Dak Prescott was pressured 18 times in this game. That's on 47% of his dropbacks. He was sacked 4 times. And this is just 3 weeks removed from Giants fans telling me that you cannot get pressure on Dak Prescott. But that's exactly what they did in this game. The Detroit Lions had a fantastic game and a fantastic defensive approach. Dak Prescott is struggling right now. 17 of 33 for 178 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, sacked 4 times in this one. He only had 1 completion that went for over 20 yards and just 4 completions that went over 10 yards. Cooper Rush came in the game, and he threw another interception to Kerry Joseph as well. This was a struggle for the Cowboys. Shout out to David Montgomery one time in a building. helped my fantasy team get their second straight win on the year. It's his 8th straight game with a rushing touchdown. That is a new Detroit Lions franchise record. 12 rushes for 80 yards in this one, 2 touchdowns. Everything was clicking for the Lions in this one. Prayers up, obviously, for Aiden Hutchinson, but, this did happen. You like to see a soldier die on the field in a way of like, with the shield and the sword in his hand, and he literally was getting a sack on the play that he ended up getting injured on. So he finishes the year with 7.5 sacks. I thought he was front runner for Defensive Player of the Year. Definitely unfortunate for them. But the Detroit Lions, they just made a move on their defensive line as well. They're looking like a front-running team right now in the NFC. What were your thoughts on this game? I was extremely impressed by the Detroit Lions in this one.
I mean, I saw this coming a mile away. I mean, you guys know that. I picked Detroit to win, obviously. I don't know what's worse now. Dallas's offense or Dallas's defense? Like they got a little Daniel Jones potion going on in Dallas the way they've been playing at home lately. I don't understand. I don't know what's going on in Dallas. Dallas has played a hell of a tough schedule to start this year. Like I am not gonna, make that not be known. But if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best.
I want to think about their games real quick. So their tough games were the Ravens, this game against the Detroit Lions. They beat the Cleveland Browns, and they beat the New York Giants. I'm trying to think of that other game.
Buffalo?
Did they lose to Buffalo?
Continue.
I'm going to look it up for you.
Steven and Kai and Gregory in the chat. I'm sure they'll let me know. But I think the Saints. They got mollywopped by the Saints.
Boat raced by the Saints. That's what it was.
Steelers.
That's what it was. And then they beat the Steelers.
So it's kind of like, I guess it's maybe just they've been getting really beaten bad by the really good teams.
The good teams, yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know what's wrong. I mean, offensively in this game, 3 of 13 on third down, 3.9 yards per play, 53 rushing yards. Their rushing game stinks. 0 for 3 in the red zone, 5 turnovers. That's all offensively.
And the turnover on down. So you're really looking at 6 turnovers.
Yeah. Maybe more than that, because I think they were like 2 of 5 on fourth down. And defensively, let's go down defensively. They gave up 492 yards, 184 yards on the ground, 5.1 yards per rush, 7.5 yards per play. So no matter what they were doing, they were averaging 7.5 yards per play. 27 first downs they allowed Detroit to have in this game. 27 first downs. Listen, this is the craziest part. Maybe I thought it was crazy, but I want to know what you think about this. Okay, how many 100-yard skill position performances do you think the Dallas Cowboys have on the season through week 6?
Including quarterbacks passing the ball?
No, not including quarterbacks.
Not including quarterbacks. I'll go with 1 per game and an extra 2. So let's go with 8.
They have had 1 skill player position go for a total of 100 yards all season.
That is absolutely ridiculous. Who was it?
Rico Dowdle against the Steelers.
No. Okay, so you were talking about them having a 100-yard performer.
Yeah,
I would not. I was thinking against them.
No, them.
I mean, CeeDee Lamb doesn't have a 100-yard game on a year.
That Rico Dowdle went for 104 combined total yards against.
I could have got that right on.
Outside of that, they haven't had a skilled player go over 100 yards. That's kind of crazy, right? For an offense like that,
they don't have weapons. That's the problem. They really don't got many weapons over there. It's CeeDee Lamb and everybody else.
Like Jake Ferguson got close once.
He got close. Yeah.
CeeDee Lamb got close twice, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, they've never been close just running the ball. I mean, it's pretty bad on both sides of the ball for Dallas. And then you get Jerry Jones absolutely going crazy on the radio.
I loved it.
Listen, it is.
He was like, listen, I could get somebody to replace you. You keep talking all that bullshit. I will replace your ass. I own the team you talking about right now, right? I fuck with that kind of energy, dog. Like, do you know who you talking to? He said, it's not your job to figure out what we doing wrong. I loved it. I loved it, bro. Old ass man. energy. Get the hell off my lawn, man. I love it, bro. That's that Norbert. That's that Norbert energy right there.
Tito don't play. Put it on a
he
t-shirt.
He don't play, dog. Get the fuck off my lawn, man. What's going on?
So, I don't mean, listen, it just so happens that Washington is just in a good spot right now because everybody else is in some shit. Let's just be perfectly honest. Dallas Cowboys stink. Philadelphia Eagles, I mean, New York Giants
Philadelphia Eagles are
stink.
Yeah, Giants are we're kind of trash right now.
Just listen, go get yourself a quarterback. And Dallas and Philadelphia, they just need to. I think they got to get rid of both of their head coaches. Got to go. So, guys says, I'm glad you guys find this entertaining. Listen, I've been on the opposite side of dysfunction for the last 20 plus years. Okay, yeah. I don't want to hear any complaining from anybody else.
Mike McCarthy's gonna be the scapegoat, and a portion of it, rightfully so. That offense is a bit dated a little bit, but I don't think they should be calling for his job just yet. The salary cap situation with the Dallas Cowboys didn't allow them to bring in any playmakers, and you can't expect Dak Prescott to just put this team on his shoulders. The defense ain't good no more. Yeah. The defense is not the top of the league type of defense they once had where Dak could go out here, maybe throw 2 interceptions, and they still win these games. It's just not the case anymore. So now you have a lack of personnel. The issue to not address running back,
their front office is to blame. I've been blaming their structural front office ever since the Amari Cooper, Zeke Elliott contracts.
Mm-hmm. But they found ways to win games through that, right? That's why it didn't hurt them that bad because they still had a running back.
Caught up to them now.
Now that you have absolutely no running game, how are you going to keep up with teams like the Lions? And this could be a bit of an overreaction Tuesday type of take, right? Because the Detroit Lions they're a fucking juggernaut right now. They're a team that they just made the Seattle Seahawks look not this bad, but they made them look extremely bad. So, maybe when the Cowboys go up against some more inferior competition, which is how they made their money the last couple of years. Remember last year, they hadn't beat no one with the winning record. Yeah. It was like the Miami Dolphins was like one of the best teams that they had beat that had a winning record. So they're accustomed to beating up on worse teams than they are. But right now, not being able to run the ball is making their offense very one-dimensional. Dude, they have CeeDee Lamb in the backfield taking draws.
Okay, but this is what are they going to do? They got
to stick this one out.
You just gave Dak the bag, CeeDee the bag. Micah's about ready to need the bag. What do you do now?
When is Micah contract year? He got drafted.
This is his contract year.
Kadarius Toney, so he's about to enter his contract. This is the last year of his. Let me see. Toney was in 2021.
Yeah, he was 2021. Micah was 2021.
So they'll have a 5th-year option on him.
Yeah.
First rounder, 5th-year option on him will be. The 5th-year option should be next year, I'm pretty sure.
They're screwed.
Yeah, I want to see where they are as far as salary cap in the NFL, going into next year. Y'all have
second most money in the league.
It's $121 million if y'all roll over the money from this year into next year. You guys are going to be able to make some definite.
And they're going to be
lining
year. Up. They're going to be lining up at the door to play here now.
Yep, you guys got the quarterback. Let's see where the Dallas Cowboys fit in 2025. The Cowboys are okay. They're not as bad as I thought. They'll have $28 million going into next year, which is down at the bottom of the league. It's about 9th worst. So they need to make some moves. You paid Dak the money. You're pot committed at this point.
You're pot committed, baby.
I think they got, where they went wrong, not only not bringing in a running back and not having enough money to bring in a running back, but they didn't even draft a running back.
Did they Deuce Vaughn
That was the draft before, though.
2 years ago. They didn't draft a running back this year, no.
They went and addressed the offensive line with 2 of their picks this year, and I can't remember who else they brought in. Oh, they brought in Ryan Flournoy, the wide receiver, in the 5th round or 6th round, I believe. He had his first catch in this game, and he fumbled it. And I like that kid. His raw score was way off the charts, man. Yeah. Physical. I thought he could be a fantasy sleeper, but it ain't looking like it too much after you fumbling on your first reception. But this year going into 2025, they have to draft a running back, or you have to find a way to address that. Even a guy like Austin Eckler was out there for $4 or $5 million. You could have brought him in. Where's Dalvin Cook?
Bro,
where's Dalvin Cook?
They got him in the kitchen of the bottom kitchen at the hotel.
They got him in the
cooking
cupboard, right?
for,
They got him
for
in the
everybody
pantry
else.
closet right now, bro. This dude is getting stale in the pantry closet like some
he's
old
in
cookies.
The bomb bunker, dude. Like
It's
eating
bad.
canned food. I don't understand. Like this is the thing, man. You know, I talk about this all the time. People are stubborn, man. I don't know what the hell is going on. And this is the thing is that, like, I'm not even here to blame Dak. I'm not even here to blame Dak.
You almost can't, but in this game, though.
He was 17 of 33, 2 picks, 178 yards. That's not going to cut it. I mean,
and then the week before, didn't he have 2 interceptions and a fumble? I mean, bruh.
Yeah, you're the highest paid guy in the league now, bro. You're gonna start catching them.
You can't do that.
You're gonna start catching them, but I'm not even ready to give it to him. They're setting him up. Listen, front office, and this is another thing. I'm learning as we go here, guys. Okay, because this is all new territory for a Commanders fan. I'm learning how football operations work well, and you gotta have the right people in the front office to put you in these positions, man.
Which they've been really good at. The Cowboys have historically drafted really well.
Yeah.
But they were just we'll figure out the running back shit later.
We'll worry about it when we get there.
Yeah, we'll be all right. Then when you late on the book report, you I'm gonna get to it, man. I got 2 weeks, and then 1 week pulls up. You I still got 1 week. Season start approaching. Now that book report was due tomorrow, and y'all what the fuck we doing at running back? Man, call Ezekiel Elliott. He was good when he was here. Come on, man. He's completely cooked. Rico Dowdle has never shown that he's a lead back, even when Tony Pollard was there, and when they had Zeke, Pollard, and Dowdle. Yeah. So you're looking at the guy who was third fiddle during that time. They need to address running back.
So
you would hope somebody's out there that they could. I mean, even just hitting players from the practice squad or something. Just bring in different talent. Giants got Turbo Miller on the practice squad. I'm sure you could run the ball with Rico a little bit.
Did you see Sean Tucker? Not our old barber, but
he is a Sean. Yeah,
Sean Tucker for Tampa Bay.
Oh, he balled out. He went crazy. And we up here talking about Bucky Irving and Rashad White. This dude came out of nowhere. Yeah, you got to you got to go out there and try to at least improve that position. They're just waiting, and if you just continue to try to run the ball like this with this personnel, the Cowboys are not going to have a chance in a lot of these games. But I will say this: their schedule looks a little bit, it's going to lighten up a little bit. The Philadelphia Eagles. They're going to be the Cowboys are going to be on the road for 2 games. I got the Eagles one right in front of me, right? So the Eagles are going to have the Giants, the Bengals, and the Jaguars. To me, that's 3 winnable games. So they're going to be on your ass. I'm telling you, they're about to try to take that first place from y'all real quickly, being only a game back. The Dallas Cowboys are on their bye this week, and then they're going to have the 49ers coming off the bye, which I don't know. I mean, the 49ers have been a bit up and down with the injuries and whatnot. No CMC. The Falcons, the Eagles, the Texans, that's tough right there. Then Commanders, Giants, Bengals, Panthers, Bucks, Eagles. I think they can still hang.
The
Texans is going to be
get
tough.
Above 500 this year.
Let's kind of go over here. So let's say they lose to the Niners. You think they'll lose to the Falcons? I think they can beat the Falcons.
Is that game at home or on the road?
On the road, which is better for them.
Yeah. I think they. I think they lose to the Falcons.
Possible.
I think that's a bad matchup for them.
Philly the following week, which I think they can beat Philly, but it's a coin toss. Yeah, I think they'll win one out of the Falcons and the Eagles game. And then the Texans, I think, will probably be a loss.
Yep.
It'll probably be a tough game against y'all, but the way y'all are playing right now, I would pick y'all. They'll probably beat the Giants. I think they can beat the Bengals. The Panthers, they'll probably beat. The Bucks will be a tough game. And then they play the Cowboys and then the Commanders to end the year.
Yeah, so they're probably I think I picked them to be 7-10.
Yeah, I think you had 7 wins, which it could absolutely be there because they got to start playing better if they want to beat some of these middle of the pack type of teams like Tampa Bay Bucks. I'm taking the Bucks over the Cowboys right now.
Yeah, I mean the Bucks and the Falcons are hot. I'll tell you what, that NFC North though. Speaking of the Lions, damn, that division's good.
Yeah, that division does look really good.
I think they're all Minnesota's 5-0.
Yep.
Then you got Chicago, and the Lions are 4-1, and you got Chicago's
1 game over 500 now.
No, Chicago and Green Bay are both 4-2.
4-2 now, huh?
Yeah, that entire division is at least 2 games over 500.
Yeah, that's a good look. I don't know if all of them will make it, but we'll see. I mean, the NFC West has been not that great this year.
No.
So there is going to be some room there. But the Cowboys, that panic button is, yeah, man. The temperature rising up there is damn near at the top of the thermometer right now. It's about to crack, but I think that they can get right if they just find a way to run the ball. But if it continues like this, where you're only getting 50, 55 rushing yards a game, the Cowboys are absolutely going to be in trouble.
Yeah, you can't not run the ball and not stop the run. Like, I've been saying that about Dallas all year. Like, that's like the worst combination of football.
Kai says they're not going to win a game until November 28th. I think that's the one against the Giants. Steven says they'll beat the Niners, but the Niners have owned the Cowboys in the playoffs and regular season here as of late. Schizoid asshole. That's my dude right
Schizoid
there, man.
Asshole, man.
Shout out to Mobb Deep. That's the vibe right there.
I was having a blast listening to Giant Overreaction because every time Schizoid Asshole came up, Awthentik was like a little kid.
You got to be like, asshole. Goddamn, man. Why you being an asshole? Man. Shout out Schizoid Asshole. But any last remarks on this game here before we close this out?
I listen. Got dog walked. You got lion walked at home. It's embarrassing, right?
Feline walked.
It's embarrassing right now in Dallas. Get it together, Cowboys.
Yeah, it's bad. To the Beard's delight when the Dallas Cowboys are struggling. He's feeling real good at the top of the division. Pretty good show today, man. Definitely was vibing. I'm not feeling too good. The only reason why I say pretty good is because the way my Giants are just the outlook right now for the season. If Daniel Jones can't get it together and start playing some competent football, we're looking like a really bad team. And I saw some fans complaining about Malik Neighbors on the sidelines in street clothes, not wearing any blue, not wearing no hat. Then they're saying, you at the concert, you're not wearing proper, attire.
White people.
Can't win, man. I heard you. You're right about that. the old ones. It's the old ones, Beard. Shout out to the gang for pulling up today, man. We definitely appreciate y'all, man. Y'all know what it is. Authentic in the Beard, left side, strong side in the building. Beard, we out of here. Any last words for the gang before we come back on Thursday?
Big shout out to everybody in the chat. We appreciate all the love and all the support. It's Thursday's gonna be a fun one as it has been. Make sure you guys are following us on Twitter at Awthentik and at Tim Walk on Water 2, where you can stay up to date with all of the stuff that we have going on, whether it be here on YouTube or with Awthentik on Bleacher Report. That's the best way to kind of get that information where you guys can see us wherever we may be. Without anything else, I just listen. Enjoy it, Fuzz. We're almost halfway there, ladies and gentlemen.
God damn.
It's kind of crazy, right? But it's been a fun ride so far, and it's gonna. I think it's going to be. I think right now we're seeing that it's going to be an interesting road down the stretch here in the NFC East. It's nothing is given. Is a given here,
and much is expected.
Yeah.
Much is definitely expected, man. Definitely looking forward to that Thursday show. If you're around tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will be on Bleacher Report doing a little bit of a preview for this next game coming up against the Philadelphia Eagles. Big rivalry game for the New York Giants fan base here. We definitely need that W, but big shout out to all of y'all for pulling up, rocking out with us on this Tuesday evening. It was definitely a vibe here. Y'all know how we end every show on Authentic in the Beard. Keep raising that bar, y'all. Keep living those dreams because the universe flows in Technicolor and surround sound. And a life without dreams is black and white. Rest in peace to the podcast GOAT, Combat Jack. And that's a wrap, y'all. We will catch y'all either tomorrow on Bleacher Report or right back here at the same exact time for the preview show for Week 7. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all night. Make sure you eat good, smoke good, live good, all of that stuff, man. Big shout out to TDE, Kendrick Lamar, all that good shit. Y'all be good, man. Peace.
Spike don't care.